I'm going to go over the basic usage of Twixtor in Sony Catalyst Edit. We will start with a basic slowdown and we'll go over a simple speed up effect. So when we're finished, you'll have an understanding of how to use Twixtor in Catalyst Edit. I will cover the steps to take in each scenario so you can apply them to most simple shots. Let's take a look at the clip that we'll use for our examples so you can see the original speed before we retime it. I'm going to drag our clip to the timeline and explain the way we'll add Twixtor to our clip. Twixtor cannot add frames to a clip due to a limitation with Catalyst. Good news though, there's a simple workaround using Twixtor so you can add frames to a Twixtor retimed clip. We'll put the source clip with the generator into its own nested timeline. First, I put the clip I want to retime on the timeline. I add a generator and make a nested timeline. I do this by going to the Plugins pane and selecting any video generator. I'll select the checkerboard and drag it to our timeline after our clip. Now I can select both clips and choose Edit, Create Nested Timeline, and make a new nested timeline out of the original clip in the generator. Let's call this nested timeline Extended Clip. Then I can apply Twixtor to the extended clip. Okay, to apply Twixtor to the nested timeline, I'll go up one level and I can add Twixtor to Extended Clip by clicking the Plugins button at the top of the Catalyst Edit window to display the Plugins pane. I will select Twixtor in the Video Effects under the Revision Effects category. I can apply Twixtor to the extended clip by selecting Twixtor in the Effects browser and dragging it to our extended timeline, or Add to Clip button while Extended Timeline is selected. An effects indicator is displayed on a clip when it has effects applied. You can click the indicator to display the effect controls in the clip inspector. We can retime using frame number or speed percentage. In this case, I'm going to use speed percentage. I'll go ahead and make this clip slower by setting the speed to 50%, 2 times as slow. I'll also make sure the display is set to Twixtored output so I can see the Twixtored result. I'm going to leave everything else on the default settings for this basic slowdown. Now if I skim through the Twixtored extended clip, you might see that you've made the nested timeline either too long or too short for the Twixtored version of the clip. You can then go to the extended clip and add more frames by extending or shortening the generator. In this next example, we're going to do a simple speed up. Twixtor does this by purging and or creating new frames based on motion and speed up factor. As a result, the footage is shorter. For example, a 2-second clip when made 2 times faster or 200% becomes a 1-second clip. When we do a speed up, we also recommend including it in a nested timeline and adding a generator, even though you don't really have to because we're not adding frames. However, you might change your mind later on, and having a nested timeline that has the clip and generator in it will be helpful if your needs change after the fact, and you'll be prepared. To speed this clip up, I've decided to set the speed to 300%. That's 3 times faster. When you speed it up, you'll see that since I sped the shot up, it's just holding for the duration of the shot. Since this is a nested timeline, I can now trim the end of the clip or transition to the end of the clip. I'll explain next what you need to do to trim or dissolve to the front of the clip. Let's look at the result. You can see how easy that was to make this clip 3 times faster. But wait, there's a problem with transitioning the clip where you shouldn't directly trim the nested timeline that has Twixtor applied. If I trim the front of the clip, this Twixtored clip seems to move around on the timeline. This is due to the way Catalyst Edit allows plugins to get access to the original clip. Trimming the clip after you apply Twixtor will cause the Twixtored results to shift in time in unwanted ways. So you'll have to do this. Going back to the beginning, I select the clip plus the generator. I nest the timeline. Then I select the clip and the generator and nest the timeline again. I can pop up one level and apply Twixtor.
And now I can pop up one more level to do the editing, trimming, and transition.
Rule of thumb: do not trim or transition the nested timeline directly that has Twixtor applied to it. Note that no matter how you perform this setup, Twixtor should not be added to the source clip directly, and the nested timeline with Twixtor should not be edited directly, but included in a nested timeline or shell that you trim and transition. This is how you can do a simple slowdown and speed up with Twixtor in Sony Catalyst Edit.